It's been a 20th year to remember at the Moorilla Hobart International. With 20 of the top 60 women in the world competing here, it's been tennis of the highest quality, with plenty of close matches and a heap of upsets. Today is the finale and it promises to be a good one. Defending champion Mona Barthel is back again, looking to become the first multiple winner here and keep her 13-match streak alive. She faces the Russian Elena Vesnina, who's looking for her first WTA title after tasting defeat in 6 previous deciders. It's a beautiful day for tennis. The crowds are here and we're ready to go. It's the final of the 2013 Moorilla Hobart International. A beautiful view. Hello and welcome to the Domain Tennis Centre in Hobart for the final of the 2013 Moorilla Hobart International. Elena Vesnina of Russia taking on the defending champion Mona Barthel of Germany. It promises to be a great day. Good crowd in as well. The players are on court and ready to go. It's time now for the ball kids to sing the national anthem. A little bit different here in Hobart. The ball kids singing the national anthem. The players are out on courts and they'll be getting into their warm-ups pretty quickly. Peter Mercado alongside Eleanor Preston for this one, and really looking forward to it. It's been a week of fantastic tennis and hopefully we have a really tight finish.
I think so, and I think we can probably predict that. It's an interesting matchup. We've got the defending champion, as you mentioned, in Mona Barthel, and in Elena Vesnina, we've got a player who's been there or thereabouts, and you know, we'll talk a little bit about her record in finals, which is, you know,
not great.
Not great, let's face it. Let's not be unkind here, but it isn't brilliant. And so, you know, on paper, I think in ordinary circumstances, you'd probably make Vesnina marginal favourite. But I think her record in finals and the fact that Barthel is defending champion here and probably has so many good memories from last year and will have taken so much confidence from successfully coming back and getting this far again, I think that's a bit of a leveller. And all this week, as you've said, we've had matches which have been very, very difficult to predict. And I expect this one also to be a little bit too close to call.
Yeah, looking forward to a big match. Let's find out a little more about the players. Chris Rowbottom is our Master of Ceremonies.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, at the city end, she's gone about her business without any fuss for the entire tournament. A straightforward first-round win over Spain's Silvia Soler Espinosa put her into the second round, where she disposed of Yaroslava Shvedova. From there, it was another solid victory over Australia's Jarmila Gardasova before a brutal display yesterday against young American Sloane Stephens. She'll be looking to claim silverware for the first time here in Hobart after 6 attempts. Please welcome Elena Vesnina. And at the grandstand end, she's in some of the best form of her career. After defeating a plucky Ashley Barty in the first round, this world number 32 went on to defeat South African Chanel Skeepers and Svetlana Poronkova to find herself in last night's semi-final. From there, she turned an arm wrestle into a decisive 2-set victory over Belgium's Kirsten Flipkens. She's looking to make history today by becoming the first player to win back-to-back titles here in Hobart. Ladies and gentlemen, Mona Barthel.
So the players being introduced onto court. Julie Shenley is the umpire from Norway, has been here all week. and has had a pretty good week, as all the officials are and the ball kids as well. It's been a wonderful tournament and a very good landing ground for these players ahead of the Australian Open next week.
And like all of these tournaments, as part of the AO series, this tournament really serves as a bit of an appetizer, doesn't it, for the Australian Open? It gets everybody in the right frame of mind for tennis, and it sort of kick-starts the Australian summer of tennis.
It certainly does. These players met last year on a hard court in Beijing, the only time they've met. The head-to-head in favour of Vesnina, 6-1, 6-1. I don't think they will be seeing that result here somehow.
It's very difficult to predict, and as I was saying, there are so many factors coming into play here, and tennis is a game played so much in the head, and never more so than in a final.
There's confirmation of the road to the semi-finals. Shvedova, a tough match, tricky conditions with the wind earlier in the week, and getting through there in 3 sets. Moorilla Hobart was super impressive there, and then the match yesterday against Sloane Stephens, just a comprehensive performance, a consistent performance. Admittedly, it wasn't Sloane Stephens' best performance, but for Elena Vesnina, she did a wonderful job.
Yes, and we have to credit Vesnina with Stephens' performance, if you like, because, you know, sometimes you can be made to play badly, and Stephens certainly getting frustrated, and we've seen some great tennis from Stephens, not necessarily in that match. But a very, very good win for Vesnina, and one to build the confidence.
Mona Barthel lost the first set to Ashley Barty and then went on an 11-game winning streak to easily run out that match, and that seemed to get her going. A tough match in the second round against informed Chanel Scapers, and then Svetlana Pironkova was a comprehensive performance there. A tricky match against Kirsten Flipkens, who's a quality player, but just showed the right amount of poise and pulled the trigger on that big forehand at the right time to really get herself into that match and score a tough 6-4, 6-4 win, giving her plenty of confidence heading into the final.
And I think that first opening match against Ash Barty, I think, would have been a little shaky early on as she came in here as defending champion, suddenly with pressure on her. But she's really risen to the occasion. Here's
some highlights of the semi-finals from yesterday, and Elena Vesnina, great performance. Sloane Stephens was very much out of sorts, but wasn't really allowed to play her natural game, and that's the pressure that Vesnina was able to put on there, and certainly deserved that win. And in our second match, tricky being played in the twilight, the shadows and the sun made it tricky for both players, but Mona Barthel did well. We got a range of different spins from Kirsten Flipkens, a couple of different looks, and in the end was just too solid.
Well, Flipkens is a handful for any player. As you said, she's very attacking, very aggressive, and she tried several different ways of changing things up against Mona Barthel, and sometimes that paid dividends. Barthel had to raise her game accordingly, and she did that at the end of both sets, and came up with some scintillating tennis when it counted.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the match point. Good win by the number 32 in the world. Weather conditions perfect. We've had a rain-free week here in Hobart.
Shh, don't say that out loud. You know what that means.
Well, I like the forecast. Partly cloudy, 21 degrees, almost 22 degrees, and the wind has been sitting around that 25k mark the entire week. It will be tricky at times for the players, but really ideal conditions in the afternoon. It has been a twilight final in the past, and the players with the opportunity to get on a plane and head to Melbourne with the first Grand Slam of the year a couple of days away.
I think that's a good decision, I think, from the tournament organisers, and also, of course, from the WTA, because it just gives these players in the final a full day of practice to get used to the conditions in Melbourne, where it'll be, you know, obviously it's the same court surface, but so much depends on the atmospheric conditions, on the weather, and as you said, it's quite windy here in Hobart. Perhaps marginally less windy in Melbourne, or rather the courts at the Australian Open, because of the size of event, they're a little more sheltered.
And Elena Vesnina, ranked 68 in the world, was the last direct acceptance into the draw here, but remembering too that she has been on the tour for quite some time and reached a high of 22 in the world, and that was off the back of a fourth round performance at Wimbledon. Looking to get back to those heights, did well in Auckland last week, losing to Agnieszka Radwanska, who's just gone on a rampage in Sydney, 6-love in the final last night.
She can join the queue on that one, can't
Exactly.
she, of people who are losing to Agnieszka Radwanska at the moment.
That's right. And also for Mona Barthel played in that event, reached the semi-finals, fell to Nina Wickmeyer, who's in some great form too. So both players, win or lose in this match, will be pretty happy with the preparation heading into Melbourne next week.
Absolutely, and I think any time you can reach a final in the week before a Grand Slam, it's going to give you confidence, it's going to give you matches, and I think it's even more valuable at this time of year. I mean, every Grand Slam has a little series of tournaments that lead up to it and allow players to get match practice, but I think when everybody is coming off a prolonged break, the off-season break, and of course, you know, the WTA events finish sort of mid-October, so it's a long period off the court, and coming in here, everybody's looking for match practice, and so wins that you get here are in many ways of more value than wins you would get in another circumstance at another time of year.
It's the final of the 2013 Moorilla Hobart International. Mona Barthel, the defending champion, to serve first.
Barthel made a rather ropey start yesterday in her match, and we took a little while to settle down, just a couple of games to settle down against Kirsten Flipkins, and she'll want to make a better start on this occasion.
The doubles final was played earlier today. A win for Gabin Muguruza and Maria Teresa Toroflor against Tamir Babos and Mandy Manella, 6-3, 7-6.
There's a decent Scrabble score in there, isn't there?
At least triple word.
Well, there's no such thing as a good double fault, but that second serve was really pretty ordinary. And you know, conditions in Hobart are always a bit breezy, and you sometimes get a swirling wind on this court. But one for the scrap heap, not the scrapbook.
We were talking yesterday about the Barthel game and how it can rise and fall throughout the course of a match. And one of the impressive things about the Vesnina game yesterday was that it was at a consistent level throughout the entirety of the match. Admittedly, it only went for an hour, but her level did not drop at all.
No, and she was playing someone in Sloane Stephens who was putting in, for her part, a very uneven performance, and that can actually be quite difficult because you can fluctuate with your opponent.
So a break in the opening game for Elena Vesnina, who, while she is a very experienced player, will no doubt be reflecting back on the finals that she's made in the past and pushing so hard to get this one and just get that first WTA title.
But you can push too hard, and I'm sure that looking back over those 6 finals that she's lost, there have been occasions where she's been so desperate to get across the line that she's almost been her own worst enemy. And there's a little bit of an irony, really, given that Vesnina has studied psychoanalysis in her time, that she really hasn't managed to get across that psychological barrier. But, you know, you keep making finals, that's an achievement in itself, and you can only put yourself in the position, and that's what she's done here.
The wind picking up that ball a little bit for Vesnina, just moving it into her body, cramping her up.
And that's where the wind is a huge factor here in Hobart. It can swirl, it can gust, it can change direction suddenly. It's the perils of being by the seaside. Well, that call was late, but I think it was accurate.
I'm not sure.
We have a great position up here in our eyrie, looking down that centre line, and to me it was just to the left of the centre line.
The linesperson actually went to move out of the way of the ball first before making the call. And just gives you an indication that Elena Vesnina just feeling the tension a little bit.
And the wind must present a challenge for the officials as well, because if a ball's got a certain trajectory and then suddenly changes at the last minute, not always easy to judge.
And that was the right move, because that ball was drifting back over the net. So Vesnina really didn't want to whack the cover off it. Ball just kept rolling towards the net. Just a nice tap.
There's long legs of Mona Barthel. They cover a lot of court, and she's deceptively fast around the place. So, as you say, a smart play from Vesnina there.
Gives you a good indication of the winds.
Yes, and as we saw yesterday, the shades that sit over the players' chairs are wobbling around, gusting around.
So it's who can make the better of the conditions. It has been all week. The better position to be serving in is where Vesnina is right now, with the grandstand providing a little bit of coverage behind her. But it still affects the ball toss. There needs to be adjustment all the time, the different conditions.
And actually it was the end that Vesnina struggled a little bit against Stevens yesterday.
Vesnina is quite an accomplished doubles player. Finished inside the doubles top 10 on the WTA last year, and likes to have the opportunity to be able to come to the net. Quite an accomplished volleyer. Is very comfortable there, but it'll be a matter of whether she gets the opportunity to be able to do that, with Mona Barthel hitting so deep in the court.
Vesnina, of course, also very able at mixed doubles. Been 3 times a runner-up in mixed doubles Grand Slam finals, including twice at Wimbledon.
Certainly that body serve is an effective one. The game of Mona Barthel, who's got quite a good wingspan across the court, can move side to side. The return, just cramping her for room, seems to be quite effective. Vesnina, game point for 2-love. And gets there. Good start for the Russian. 2 games to love in this opening set of the final.
Vesnina's been very smart at playing in these conditions. I think she served very well under the circumstances yesterday against Stevens, and I think of the two, she handled the situation and she handled the wind a lot better, tactically, technically, and also, of course, psychologically.
Well, one thing that you won't see from Mona Barthel is any sort of emotion throughout the match. Just keeps a straight face the whole way through. When she asks her coach on court, her mum comes out to provide some advice. All very calm. Whereas the Vesnina game is very emotional. Very emotional. And things are going well and things aren't going so well. Likes to let the emotions out.
Yes, I wouldn't want to play poker against Mona Barthel. I think you'd be struggling to read her.
That's a nice deep ball again. The ideal position, Mona Barthel, to keep Elena Vesnina. It's been well beyond the baseline. A lot more comfortable having the ability to come forward, get into the net. That's where that doubles experience comes in. That just gives you an idea of the power of the German.
She also has the ability, and this is where the conditions could help her a little bit, to hit through the ball and to hit through the wind. And that's certainly an advantage here in Hobart, which is why she's on such an impressive winning streak.
That is her best shot, that forehand up the line. Love watching it. It's Barthel getting the game, but Vesnina with the break. 2-1 now in the opening set of the final. That was an important game for Mona, just to get herself into the match. And certainly you mentioned that streak. It's 13, potentially 13 matches she wins today. Coming through qualifying last year to get through, so playing those extra matches there. But it's just been an unbelievable run. And third round of the Australian Open last year, fell to Victoria Azarenka. Set herself up for another big campaign.
Absolutely, and you know, we talked about the importance of getting matches ahead of the Australian Open, and just the confidence that Mona Barthel will draw from reaching the final again. I always maintain that defending a title is much more difficult than winning it the first time around. She came in here a year ago, as you said. She came through qualifying. Nobody was talking about Mona Barthel before the Moorilla Hobart International 2012. They're talking about her now.
That is the $1 million plus view we have from our vantage point. The Domain Tennis Centre in Hobart, Constitution Dock in the background. It's a shot of the media centre and the corporate stand. But yes, it has been a big couple of weeks for sport in the Tasmanian capital. The Sydney to Hobart yacht race finishing here. Iconic event. Plenty of other sports and festivals happening. It's a great time to be in Hobart.
Well, ordinarily the best play against Mona Barthel is to try and steer away from that potent forehand that you were talking about, Pete, but She's pretty handy on the backhand side as well, particularly when she's low, forced out wide into the corner, and she really unleashed there.
Well, one of the things that Vesnina can use, Kirsten Flipkens used it a bit yesterday, was employing the slice. And not so much the slice that skids through on the baseline, but one that forces Mona Barthel to come forward and have to move forward to dig out that ball, where she does tend to struggle. Very good movement side to side, but struggles a little bit to make that first couple of steps forward when the ball's in short and cutting in low.
That's the interesting thing about Mona Barthel. She is at her best in a situation which most players would consider to be a defensive position. So the more you pull her out of court, the better able she is to turn defence into attack. And as you said, Flipkens did a very good job of playing her up the middle, and that's something that Vesnina would be well advised to employ.
Game point here for 3-1. Vesnina got off to a great start yesterday, leading 5-love in the opening set. Within the blink of an eye, almost 20 minutes was gone and was already 5-love on the board. Nicely done. Didn't overhit that. Just sort of sat up in the breeze. It was almost as if she was playing behind her, but just did enough to guide it into the corner of the deuce court.
A little exclamation from Vesnina there at the end of that point. And she is a player who plays on emotion, and if Mona Barthel can try and get some kind of foothold in this match, then we may see the Vesnina facade just crack a little bit. And again, that return into the corner, and she serves out wide. Barthel is reading that serve very effectively, and she's got a couple of sharp returns in cross court, which has pulled Vesnina out of position. Little hint of an opportunity here for Barthel.
And taken, that ball sitting up nicely. That's where it has the space. And standing inside the baseline for that second serve was always going to be put away. Breakback point for the defending champion. wonderful hitting from Mona Barthel. There is the break back. We're all square. 2 games all, opening sets of the final.
And I wonder if Vesnina is just slightly overplaying her hand in going after that backhand side, obviously trying to stay away from the forehand as much as possible, but it's become a bit predictable, and Barthel is very comfortable in position now, anticipating very well. And we can feel the defending champion lift here.
Except when she tries to throw in the forehand slice. It's been used from time to time across the tournament, and more often than not it doesn't work because that ball just tends to drift. Tends to be a real nothing shot.
And Barthel's game is not about nothing shots.
And that's pretty much what it's about. It is a power game, the big forehands. And just biding her time to get to that opportunity. Just launched. Look at the little steps here to try and get into position. Very well balanced. Takes the ball nice and high so she can generate so much power.
And always moving forward, always trying to be the aggressor.
First ace for the match. I think you're right, Eleanor. There has been a definite momentum shift in this set. It's all about Vesnina in the opening couple of games, but Barthel has settled a lot quicker than what we've seen, certainly in the match yesterday. They curled that back in up the line. Barthel in front for the first time in the match, holding serve 3-2 in the opening set of the final. Just did enough to curl that ball up the line. It was a great shot in the end, and Mona Barthel has really settled into this match.
She has, and the more she does that and the more she grows in confidence, you just wonder if those ghosts of finals past will visit Elena Vesnina's mind and just make her start to worry. And she'll be trying to repress all of those doubts and repress all those feelings. I'm sure she and her coach and her dad talked before the match about, you know, it's a new match, a new day, a new final, and not thinking about all of those times where she's come so close and missed out. But she's a human being, and at some point there's a little voice in her head that's going to say it's happening again. And Mona Barthel wants that voice to get louder and louder and louder. And the better she plays, the more she can impose herself, the better off Mona Barthel will be.
Great day for sailing, great day for tennis. Mona Barthel were on serve in this opening set, 3-2. One of the real highlights of this event is just looking out over the water.
Certainly one of the more picturesque stops on the WTA Tour.
So we're on serve in the opening set, 3-2 to Mona Barthel, the defending champion and 9th seed. Good power from Vesnina, particularly on that forehand side. It was already there. If that shot was coming back, she was already at the net to put it away.
Better from Vesnina, more of a sense of purpose around her, and that's what she needs, because it's easy to be bullied by a player like Mona Barthel. And Vesnina really needs to assert herself again, having been up a break, lost that break, and now finding herself behind in the scoreline.
Well, the Australian Open draw was held yesterday, and there can be a few quirks that are thrown up. Potentially certainly heading into this tournament, we couldn't possibly have had this final because Mona Barthel was actually unseeded for this event. She got her seeding because Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova pulled out of the event before the tournament started, so Mona was next on the seeding list and took the number 9 seeding and went into the top half of the draw. Elena Vesnina playing in the bottom half of the draw. So a bit of a shuffling around, and Mona Barthel through to the final. That's a positive service game for Elena Vesnina. We're still on serve. It is 3 games all in this opening set.
Well, she obviously has a bit of luck around her, Mona Barthel. That's certainly a dose of good fortune. And she was very fortunate in 2012 as well. Got into the German Olympic team on the basis of unfortunate Andrea Petkovic injury. Allowed her to come in as the next highest ranked German. Quite an achievement given the strength of German tennis.
Second double fault for the match for Mona Barthel. Some big names have won this tournament over the past 20 years. We haven't had a multiple winner. Had players make multiple finals.
Barthel would certainly be making history were she to defend her title here.
Petra Kvitova winning back in 2009. Jung Jie in 2005. Alicia Molik in 2003. Kim Clijsters winning back in the year 2000. Chanda Rubin in 1999. The only shot that Barthel could hit there with the pressure that Vesnina was applying, and just needs to put a bit more on that second serve.
And are we seeing another momentum shift here? Vesnina right inside the court for this. And perhaps a little too eager. She was stepped right in for the return of serve. She was ready to pounce, but just overhitting a little bit.
We have seen Barthel flatten out the second serve from time to time. Another double fault hands the break to Elena Vesnina. 4 games to 3 in the opening set of the final after 27 minutes.
And rather poor first serve percentage from Mona Barthel, 55%, dropping to 52% as I speak. And she'll want to get that first serve percentage up quite a lot higher. Vesnina is a handy player and is starting to read the returns of serve, and as I mentioned, she's jumping in a good couple of feet on the baseline for that second serve. And all of that is asserting pressure on Mona Barthel, and on that occasion in that service game the pressure told.
For Vesnina, the importance of getting this first set locked away, just have a little bit of buffer space to know that you have some control of the match and can push forward from there. It'll be a massive advantage. Good crowd in the Domain Tennis Centre in Hobart. Elena Vesnina with the break. 4 games to 3. And a good atmosphere as well. There is very much a community feel. A lot of the people in key roles here are members of the Domain Tennis Centre Club, and they're volunteers, and they do a wonderful job.
And that probably gives Mona Barthel a little bit of an advantage in terms of the crowd support. Certainly something I noticed yesterday was quite how warmly she was received. I mean, she's a popular girl around the place, but I think people here really remember their champions and show them a lot of respect and affection.
And if you're involved in the tennis community, you'll have a good understanding of the names and be able to follow the careers of these players. But to the average sports spectator, they're not necessarily household names. And it takes a while to get to know these players. But if they come back year after year, the fans, as you can hear today, start to get to know them and start to cheer on those players.
I think it's often the case with tournaments, particularly perhaps not the top tier of tournaments, you know, like this one, where for some people coming here, they come to this tournament every year. They may not watch any other tennis through the year. So as far as they're concerned, Mona Barthel is the best player in the world because she's won Hobart. And I think that's rather nice. I think that builds an affection and a connection between players and fans. And Hobart not being a huge place, it also means that the players are perhaps more accessible than they would be heading into next week, where it's the Australian Open and it's Melbourne, and most people watching won't get anywhere near the players. But here, you know, you might see them at the supermarket, you see them around town, and that also builds the connection up.
It's a good serve, good depth. That's that doubles experience coming out. Serve out wide. And doubles match. Be straight into the net to put away the volley. Game point now for 5-3. Pushing along, Elena Vesnina, 5 games to 3. The break consolidated.
Vesnina leads 5 games to 3.
40,000 US dollars on offer for the winner, the Moorilla Hobart International.
And a few handy ranking points as well, and also the thing which is of incalculable value is the confidence that you gain going into the first Grand Slam of the season.
There's that short ball again, just forcing Barthel to come forward to pick up that ball. Can't do much with it. And there's the flattening out of that serve. Second ace for the match.
It was a bit of a go big or go home moment from Mona Barthel, wasn't it? Offers a much needed bit of respite from the pressure that she's under in this game.
Plenty of topspin on that forehand from Barthel, just accommodating for the wind. Not so much on that backhand. And you can see the results. But that ball again held up. It forced Mona Barthel to come forward. And just a step short on that forward movement. So there's the first set to Elena Vesnina. 6 games to 3 in 35 minutes.
Ms. Barthel has requested to throw coach.
So first set for Elena Vesnina, getting the better of the windy conditions, and this consistency coming to the fore again. I think Mona at times just struggling to move forward to the ball. That's been the big problem with this tricky breeze.
And I think a good time to get her mum on to talk about things.
Here are the highlights of the opening sets. And that's the big forehand. We've seen it all week from Mona Barthel. And for Elena Vesnina, very comfortable at the net. That was just great thinking. Been so solid, and the opportunities have been few and far between for Mona Barthel. There haven't been huge amounts of comfortable service games.
No, she's been under a pretty relentless pressure, and I've been impressed with the way Vesnina has kept her composure, even at moments where Mona Barthel, having been down a break, came back at her opponent and started to really wrestle the momentum in her direction. But Vesnina doing a good job.
It is still quite windy out there. Mona Barthel taking the opportunity to chat with her mother, who travels with her on the tour. She does have a coach back in Germany who doesn't travel. So Mum plays the role of advisor. On the WTA, players are allowed to receive coaching. Here are the stats, and you talked about that first serve percentage, and the first serve points won there for Mona Barthel. You cannot be at 27% and win a match.
No, she really needs to improve on that, and improve on that quickly. And it is a key part of her game, a key part of any tennis player's game. And Vesnina, you know, is not a bad returner of serve. And these are important moments for Mona Barthel. She needs to get a good start in this second set and just try and shift things back in her favour.
And for Elena Vesnina, it's just a matter of keeping the roll going. Just keeping yourself in front, the advantage of serving first in the second set.
Absolutely, and that could have been a crucial break of serve that she took there for that very reason. Just partly because of that psychological dimension that we've been talking about, and that losing record in finals. And the need to keep all of those ghosts quiet. Those ghosts of finals past, those ghosts of missed opportunities and lost chances. Well, they're pretty quiet at the moment.
And the good thing now is that Vesnina can go for everything. You saw her come to the net on the previous point. Just continue to ramp up the pressure on Barthel. Now a set down. Need to just shift this momentum. 3 game points in the opening game. And holds to love. Elena Vesnina flying along 6-3. And now the opening game of the second set. Well, it's been a tough time for Tasmanians over the past week. The first day of qualifying saw the hottest day on record in Hobart, over 41 degrees, and that led to some horrific bushfires around areas in Tasmania where plenty of houses were lost and communities slowly picking up the pieces. Thankfully, at this stage, there's been no confirmed loss of life, but the Moorilla Hobart International has been doing a wonderful job of raising funds for the bushfire victims around Tasmania, and certainly our thoughts are with them today as they continue the clean-up and rebuilding, and no doubt they'll rebuild and be stronger than ever.
And certainly what we've been hearing about and reading about when it comes to the bushfires and the things that have been going on, it puts a bit of tennis into perspective.
And certainly we had the reminder of it with quite a smoky atmosphere for a couple of days afterwards.
I suppose we should mention that it's not just Tasmania that's had to struggle with bushfires. All across Australia, the SES and the emergency services doing an outstanding job keeping people safe.
Good pressure again from Vesnina. Barthel will be looking for an easy service game.
She needs to lift her game. She does fluctuate. The level of her performance fluctuates enormously in matches. And that's always been a feature of the Mona Barthel MO. Vesnina, by contrast, has been steady Eddie, hasn't she?
Yes.
She really hasn't. The level hasn't had huge rises and huge dips. It's been relatively high all the way through, and it was relatively high through the semi-finals. And again, that composure is coming to the fore.
So Barthel holds. Not as comfortable, though, as what she would have liked. One game all in the final. And you say she's been rock solid all the way through. Just dropping the one set on the way through to the final. That was 6-4 to Yaroslava Shvedova a couple of days ago.
No disgrace, given the level of play that Shvedova is capable of. And that's the thing about these tournaments, and we've said it consistently. The players at this level, they're separated by very small margins. It's what makes for highly competitive tennis.
So it's recognising these opportunities, Vesnina. Just a couple of unforced errors here.
No, it's no sooner were we praising her consistency than she goes off the boil.
No sooner do we say she's off the boil, then the consistency reappears.
I think our place is in the wrong.
We just need to improve on that point delay, I think.
You know, if we keep talking long enough, eventually we'll be right. At least I will.
That's a terrific backhand from Mona Barthel. Again, Vesnina just going up the middle of the court, which has been quite useful in this match, but Barthel there getting set in place early. Great shoulder rotation.
She really tees off, doesn't she? She's more so on the forehand side, but that backhand has been in good shape so far today. She needs to make it count a little more.
That probably more directed at a coach than anything else. Just looking straight over into the corner. And now an opportunity opens up for the defending champion. This is a foothold into this second set. Chance to lead. Get the match back on track. Oh, terrific. That is the shot of the match so far. And Barthel gets the break in front in his second set. 2-1. Have a look at that. Just curling that ball around. The breeze helping it as well. A little bit of extra power, but that was wonderful from Mona Barthel.
Really threading the needle there, and now these are moments where Vesnina needs to hold that composure and stay calm, really, because Mona Barthel is coming back at her, and we've talked about the way that Barthel's level can rise and fall through matches. Well, it's rising now. Vesnina needs to be ready. Just wonder if she might consider bringing her coach onto court. He certainly had him on court during the semi-finals.
Well, certainly tactically there's no issue with the way that she's playing. It's more just that Barthel has lifted her game. So I think we'll see Vesnina try and get to the net as much as possible from here. So Mona Barthel with the break of serve in this second set. 47 minutes on court. Barthel going for back-to-back titles here at the Moorilla Hobart International. It was a late call, but Vesnina was just tracking across the eye line of the linesperson there. Just gives you a good indication of how reliant Mona Barthel is on that first serve, that big first serve, getting that into play.
The thing is, when the first serve lets her down, as you said, she is prone to flattening out the second serve and putting a big one down, but it's an awfully risky strategy.
It is, and it's not a bad one from time to time, just to shift things a little bit, because Vesnina been slowly creeping in more and more just to really attack that second serve.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rocket in the pocket, isn't it?
There's that power game. Barthel able to get onto that forehand. Game points.
Important that she consolidates here. Always important to consolidate a break of serve, otherwise it's essentially meaningless, but particularly at this point in the match. Barthel came to the net there, but she didn't seem entirely sure what she was doing there.
Yeah, at this point she's wondering, it's a little too close for me. I prefer to be back a little further away from the net at the baseline.
She was stranded, and Vesnina making her pay.
And it's those two big ground strokes that give you an indication. We've said it before, Vesnina's so accomplished on the doubles court. To be able to get that cross-court ball and generate that angle is a great skill to have, and that comes with playing lots of doubles. Break point here for Elena Vesnina.
Well, also against this opponent, it also nullifies some of Mona Barthel's strengths.
Break back. 2 games all in this second set. Vesnina taking the first 6 games to 3.
And all of a sudden, Mona Barthel right back in trouble. Some breaks of serve are worth more than others. And in terms of stopping the momentum shift, this could be key for Vesnina's hopes of winning her first WTA title.
I just think the little hurdles maybe being jumped here by Elena Vesnina and getting that break back. Looking to become the first Russian since Anna Chakvatadze back in 2007 to win the title here.
Strange, given the strength and the number of accomplished Russian female tennis players there are, that haven't been more Russian champions down here in Hobart. You could well see a Russian win the Australian Open, and not for the first time there. Maria Sharapova, who comes from the same town, Sochi, in Russia, that Elena Vesnina comes from. Sharapova, arguably one of the favourites in Melbourne.
And Sochi, of course, the venue for the Winter Olympics in a year's time.
Absolutely, and Vesnina, a proud Olympian, played for Russia, and I'm sure relished that opportunity. Don't think we'll see her at the Winter Olympics, mind you. But Sochi very much on the Russian Riviera, so not really known actually for winter sports. Of course, the alpine skiing and cross-country and biathlon and so on will be played up in the mountains. That will be in February next year, so right after the Australian Open. Of course, I'll be oiling the ice at the speed skating to make sure Australia wins another medal.
It's still a long time away. Vesnina now game points for 3-2. Just couldn't dig it out.
It was close, but she was right out of position. It would have been one heck of a shot if Vesnina had been able to pull that one off. Still in a relatively comfortable position in this service game, though. And with every passing point, she edges just a little bit nearer to the ultimate goal for her.
Well done. Getting close to the victory, Elena Vesnina. Still on serve, though, in this second set. Vesnina a set and 3-2.
And we were talking about Vesnina coming from Sochi, the same place as Maria Sharapova, before she, of course, famously went over to train at Nick Bollettieri's academy. She spent her early years in Sochi. And Vesnina, actually, and Sharapova shared a coach, excuse me, for a short time. Wondering how much of the Sharapova magic rubbed off on Vesnina.
For Mona Barthel, while the momentum is just away from her ever so slightly, it can be turned around. We've seen some encouraging signs early on in this second set. Start to get that big forehand working, just to trouble Vesnina, and no doubt Vesnina will get tight towards the end of the match to be able to complete it and finish it off. And Barthel will be aware of it, having been a former winner here, knows what to do to finish off the match.
I think it would be a huge surprise if, as Vesnina edges closer and closer to the end of this match and closer to the finish line, it would be a huge surprise to me if she didn't feel a few nerves there.
Last point of the previous game, drop shot was perfect. No way Barthel would be able to get to that. The Germans serving 2-3. You just hear Vesnina, every point she wins, just pushing herself along.
Well, this would push her along considerably. She can make good on this love 30 lead. Get a second break of serve. Give herself a bit of a cushion. Because if she can get the double break, it's a nice little insurance policy if she does start to get nervous.
15-14.
On the line. Vesnina won't like it, but I thought that landed on the line.
Well, to be fair to her, she's not arguing with the call. She did spend a lot of time looking at the line, but it was rather in an imploring way. Hoping, I think, that ball landed long, but it was a winner from Mona Barthel. Still an opportunity here, still a break point.
Terrific. Has got herself out of some tight spots across this tournament, Mona Barthel, and that's been the weapon that's done it.
And particularly down the line, she's been really adept on that shot today. Well, Vesnina looking down at that service line.
Advantage, Barthel.
I think it just ghosted in at the last minute. Plenty of swerve on the ball from Mona Barthel and smart serving, brave serving under the circumstances.
That is a good hold for Mona Barthel in the context of this match. Facing break points, managed to save them. Back square. 3 games all in this second set, so we've just crossed the hour mark of the match.
Vesnina's serving has just got better and better over the last...
15-11.
Well, through this second set, for my money. I think she's looked more confident on serve with every passing game.
Actually had the opportunity to get hold of a serve, Barthel there. Been a little while with Vesnina lifting that first service percentage and winning 3/4 of the points almost.
Barthel is a very unpredictable player, and she presents a constant danger that she can just tee off. You never quite know what you're going to get. That's why I've been impressed with Vesnina's serving, because it's under pressure. The pressure of knowing that Barthel is there, ready to strike.
And there she's teeing off again. So now for Mona Barthel, here is her opportunity. Break points.
See what I mean about teeing off? And that's what Mona Barthel can do to you. The forehand in particular, just a vicious weapon.
Needed to go up the line there, Mona Barthel. It was open.
It's strange, really, because she's played that up the line so well through the course of this match. But, yes, wrong choice of shot there. Just got it all wrong. Interesting to see Vesnina getting a time violation there. It's very much been a topic of conversation around the tennis tour in these last opening couple of weeks of the 2013 season. Seems like umpires are tightening up on players faffing about before serve.
Oh, that certainly hasn't affected her.
No faffing about there.
That was right onto it.
I think you can see the arguments both ways, really. You can see that for TV audiences and people watching, too much time spent between points, it just slows everything down a little too much. It takes away from the enjoyment of the match.
Oh, wow. We've seen it plenty of times on that forehand side, but gee, that was potent up on the backhand side up that line. Had time to settle. So balanced through that shot. Good pace coming towards her as well.
We're seeing another one of those little spikes in the Mona Barthel level of play.
Oh, just missing. Just missing. Vesnina thought she had it. Oh, that was close. No Hawkeye in operation. The Moorilla Hobart International. And look wide.
A good call from the umpire there, and she wasn't going to overrule because it's on the far side of the court, and Has to really be a clear mistake for an umpire to make a call at that moment.
And certainly was sure, because did make the signal that the ball was clearly out. Break point now for the defending champion.
Something of a high-risk strategy, that one, but it worked. I mean, playing up the middle of the court has been a very successful play against Mona Barthel.
But it was stranded behind the baseline, so it was a good tactic, because we haven't seen too many drop shots in the match from either player.
No, we haven't, and it's something that Vesnina has used a few times along the course of this week. It was a good time to play one, but most importantly, it was very well executed. If you're going to do a drop shot, do it well.
And follow up with a point like that, just willing herself on. Incredible focus from Elena Vesnina, being challenged in this game. Point now for 4-3. What a good time to come up with your first ace for the match. Under pressure, but holding serve. 4 games to 3 in this second set. An hour and 10 minutes on court in the final. Wow.
Gutsy.
Yes.
Gutsy play from Elena Vesnina there, under all sorts of pressure from Mona Barthel. Mona Barthel having saved break points herself, then set about trying to effect a break of the Vesnina serve, and Vesnina stepped up just when she needed to, in the nick of time, with the aid of an ace, but also with the aid of some brave and aggressive play. No point being tentative at that moment. No coach would advise that. Nothing tentative about Vesnina.
Certainly had enough experience in finals, so the nerve's not necessarily there, but more getting into the business end and being able to finish the job.
Time.
So games continuing on serve in this second set. Elena Vesnina taking the first 6 games to 3. Pressure now back on Mona Barthel. Had a couple of break points in the previous game.
Well, Barthel had to get herself out of trouble in her last service game. Vesnina doing a good job of asserting herself on return. And Barthel's own first serve, 54% first serve percentage. It's fluctuated just around that mark through this match. Not really high enough.
Lot 15.
4th double fault.
Just have a look at how Vesnina is stepping inside the baseline to receive serve.
Elena Vesnina has Caroline Garcia in the opening round of the Australian Open in a couple of days' time.
A very promising young French player. Was a decent junior and had a couple of good matches at senior level, including on her senior debut at Roland Garros, pushing Maria Sharapova pretty hard a couple of years ago.
For Mona Barthel, a tough first round against Ksenia Pervak.
Yeah, Pervak, very experienced, very canny player, and
certainly no gimme there for
No.
Mona in the opening round.
no, one of those awkward matches, I think.
What's known as a dangerous floater, Eleanor.
40-15.
I think it's another illustration, really, of just how close the competition is between, say, 70 in the world and 30. That those players are all pretty evenly matched.
And plenty of them have been here this week, and that's been testament. We've had the matches that we've seen so many go to 7-6 in the third set. They've been that close. Plenty gone the distance.
I also think that, sorry, I was just going to say, I think the time of year is also a bit of a leveller in that everybody's coming off a break. No one's quite sure where their form is at. Players are often a little ring rusty, and the rankings mean even less in that situation. Solid hold from Mona Barthel, and much needed under the circumstances. Wonder if they've been sampling the sponsor's product.
Nicely done. Just held for that extra second was needed to see where Barthel was going. One thing Vesnina will have to be careful of is making sure that she does speed up between the points. Does not want another time violation because the penalties start to increase. Point, game, match.
Absolutely, and I think it also becomes a little bit of a distraction. You know, the more you get warned for it, it's a bit like when you get multiple warnings for foot faults. Anything that breaks the concentration is a bad thing. And particularly for Vesnina under the circumstances, she needs to stay in the moment as much as she possibly can.
So, second double fault for Vesnina.
I think that was an example of concentration just being broken momentarily. Tennis is such a mentally demanding sport.
It's one more under the chair. Yep.
It doesn't take much to jog players out of a mental rhythm.
Two game points for Elena Vesnina.
40-15.
Just continuing to push along, being pretty comfortable on serve.
And when she's been pushed, she's come up with the goods on serve, and that's been crucial. The wind has dropped right off here. We haven't heard those gusts and seen the flags flying over the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes. Much calmer than it has been really all week.
Big first serve at exactly the right time. Good follow-up. Vesnina is a game away from taking the title, her first on the WTA. 5-4 in the second set. So now the pressure back on Mona Barthel. Can she come up with here? Is a little easier on serve in this second set. Could so easily turn this around. But Elena Vesnina, I've been very impressed by the focus that she's shown throughout this match. There's been no sign of nerves. Been very consistent, as you say, keeping that level consistent all the way through this match, also all the way through this tournament. It's probably been the most impressive feature of her matches.
And at those moments where she has needed to lift her game, she has. You know, the moments where she's been under a little bit of pressure on serve. And she really has served well and come up with good tennis just at the important moments.
I've enjoyed looking at the scenery around Hobart all week at the Moorilla Hobart International. Mona Barthel serving now to stay in the final.
You can see the fist pump from Vesnina in the wake of that error from Mona Barthel. She knows she's got the scoreboard on her side. And suddenly the importance of breaking at the end of the first set really comes into play, because it's left her serving first, and it means that at moments like this, as we get to the pointy end of the match, the pointy end of the second set certainly, then there's a distinct psychological advantage for Vesnina. Hefty serving from Mona Barthel, and that was exactly what was required under the circumstances. And all of a sudden that wind, which I was talking about being so calm, it suddenly picked up again.
So now it has an effect on the ball, which means that Barthel is serving with the breeze. So it means Vesnina's ground strokes will be coming in just that little bit shorter. Got to be prepared to move in. Too big. 1 hour and 22 minutes on court. Elena Vesnina a point away now from her first WTA title.
0 for 6 in WTA final matches. Is this the moment of destiny for Elena Vesnina?
That's wide, finally! 7th time lucky for Elena Vesnina. Her first WTA title comes here in Hobart. An excellent display all week. 6-3, 6-4 the final score. And Elena Vesnina has finally broken through.
And I wonder just how many people sitting in the stands here at the Moorilla Hobart International understand just what that victory means to Elena Vesnina. Of course it's a WTA title, of course it's huge, but as she goes to run and embrace her coach Andrei Olhovsky, I think no one really, except those two, understand what she's been through, the torment of coming in back to the locker room after losing those finals, all of the mental torture of coming so close and missing out. And now all of that's behind Elena Vesnina. The relief must be immense.
Oh, look at that. That's just a release of the tension of the final. Finally got there. It's been a great performance all week from Elena Vesnina, dropping just the one set in the tournament. thoroughly deserves this victory, and her ranking of 68 won't be staying that way come Monday. You'll see a big rise. And for Mona Barthel, great performance. 12 matches in a row at this tournament. Came through qualifying to win the tournament last year, reaching the final again. And she's had a great run as well, and she'll certainly be pretty happy with the way she's playing. As we take another look at match point, it was a long point, and that's just gone wide on the backhand. And the emotion coming out for Elena Vesnina, a magnificent performance. But Mona Barthel will be pretty happy with the way she's been playing. I
think the way she's started off 2013 has been very, very strong. And I think she'll be very happy with that. It's a huge achievement to come back to a tournament where you've played very well the previous year. You've got all that pressure of expectation and that pressure that you place on yourself, and also the pressure of defending the ranking points. She's done a very, very good job of doing that. She's set herself up nicely for the Australian Open.
She certainly has. Can she get past the first round? We'll find out in a couple of days' time. But Elena Vesnina is our champion, and she'll be very happy to hold that trophy aloft. 20 years this event has been running. We haven't had a two-time winner yet. We've seen some great players coming through to take the title.
Well, it goes to show how tough it is to defend titles on the WTA Tour, that we haven't in 20 years of the Moorilla Hobart International seen a two-time champion. But maybe Vesnina will be coming back next year and trying to defend her title.
All right, let's head down for the presentations. Elena Vesnina, very, very happy to win her first WTA title. Chris Rowbottom is our Master of Ceremonies.
Well, a fantastic win there by Elena Vesnina, rounding out a magnificent tournament here at the Moorilla Hobart International. I would like to acknowledge the presence, though, of Deputy Premier Brian Green, Connor van der East from Moorilla, Peter Johnston, the Senior Vice President of Operations on the WTA Tour, and Peter Armstrong, the President of Tennis Tasmania. I'd like to invite Peter Johnston to say a few words on behalf of the WTA.
Thank you, Chris. First of all, I would love you to all acknowledge the players, their fantastic effort this week, and pretty tricky conditions, but a great final. So hands together for the players. Elena, fantastic effort for you. Great to see you win your first WTA title after, I think, 6 finals prior. And Mona, sorry to see that you didn't win, but great defence of your title from winning last year, and we wish you both the best next week in Melbourne. As I look around, this has grown into one of the most beautiful, picturesque stadiums on our WTA Tour, and something like that takes a lot of effort, a lot of commitment from people such as the government. Thank you for your support, Tennis Australia, Tennis Tasmania, and it really has turned out to a magnificent facility. And I'm not sure if too many people are aware, but this is the 20th anniversary of this event as being part of the WTA. And so with that, we'd like to acknowledge the tournament, and I would ask Peter Armstrong if he could please come forward as President of Tennis Tasmania and a real visionary for this particular venue and the sport and for the event. So Peter, if you could come forward, we'd like to present you a token of our congratulations.
Thank you, Peter. This is a great surprise and much appreciated. The WTA have been fantastic supporters of this event. Many of us are not aware that this type of event, this level of event, this international event is sought after around the world, and it's taken great effort by many people to keep it here. And we sincerely thank the WTA for its support.
Peter Armstrong and Peter Johnston there. I'd now like to invite to the microphone from Moorilla, Connor van der East.
Thank you. This is now, I guess, the third year that I've done and had the privilege of doing the presentation. There's a little bit of a difference. The last couple of years, though, I've always had something in my mind that I wanted to say, kind of funny anecdote type thing. This year, I don't have much, which means I've actually had the pleasure of watching the final and not thinking, what am I going to be saying, what am I practicing, when you're playing. So I can say with a lot more sincerity that I really enjoyed the game. You both played really fantastic, and congratulations on the win. While I was watching, I was trying to think of something to say and making links between winemaking and tennis, and I couldn't think of much. However, what I did start thinking about was a couple of weeks ago when we had the media event to open the tournament. At work, we had the guy who does the restringing of the rackets out. And I was thinking during the game, it was really interesting and really cool to listen to all of his stories and how he has every year something that he's remembered and some story. And then I started looking at the ball boys and the ball girls and the line judges and everybody else, and I started thinking, well, maybe there is something. And maybe what that is a passion that I have for winemaking, but that everyone else that's involved in this tournament has for tennis. And it takes a lot of effort from the players, from the people behind the scenes, to come together to make what essentially is a small tournament, really great and punch above its weight every year. And I think every year, like other people have said, gets better and better. So thank you to all of them, Tennis Australia, Tennis Tasmania, and all of the people here at Domain. I think you've done a great job again this year, and it's a big pleasure for us to be involved with you again. Before I pass the microphone over, there is one other thing that I did want to say. I think everybody that's here and everybody that's watching at home is aware of the bushfires that we've had in the last week. Details are still coming out, but I wanted to let everyone know that Moorilla/Mona is in the process of organising a benefit concert. Everybody knows that Mona Foma is starting on Wednesday. On the 21st, at the end of the festival, we'll be doing a benefit concert down at PW1. The acts and events are all still getting finalised, so I can't tell anybody what's happening with that. But I know 6 o'clock the doors will open. It's supposed to be ticketed for 5,000 people. What we'd like to do is get as many people out as possible for it. All of the profits will be going towards the Australian Red Cross Bushfire Appeal. So it'd be really great. Come out, have a look at that. And I'll look forward to seeing, everyone here again next year, but at the concert as well. So thank you.
Thanks very much for that, Connor. I'd now like to call upon our runner-up of the tournament, Mona Barthel. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our runner-up here today, Mona Barthel. Mona, you come here defending your title today. You must clearly be disappointed to not walk home back-to-back champion.
No, I'm not disappointed. I think it was another great week for me here, and Elena was just playing too good for me today. And congratulations for your first WTA win. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with my win. I think it was a great week for me. I was happy to be back here, back in the final again. And yeah, I want to thank everybody who comes and who supports us the whole week. And it was a pleasure to be here on court.
You won 12 matches in a row here in Hobart and did have a very good tournament. That will put you in good stead for the Australian Open in Melbourne.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to go there and play there next week. And I think I had a good preparation. Last week I played semis, this time finals. So I think I'm in good shape, and I'm really looking forward for the Australian Open and the new year. And I want to thank all the sponsors, Moorilla, the WTA, who make this event possible, and everyone who worked, the ball kids, everyone. It was a nice tournament to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, another big round of applause for your runner-up, Mona Barthel. I'd now like to call upon the winner of the 2013 Moorilla Hobart International, Elena Vesnina. Elena, congratulations. It's your first WTA singles title. It must be great to win it here in Hobart.
Yeah, I feel such a relief right now. I cannot believe that finally I won this title, and I really feel so good now, so happy. And I just want to thank everybody who came to watch our match today, who was keep coming for the whole week. Guys, you were amazing. I love coming back here in Hobart. I really like this city and this tournament. And of course, I would like to thank all the sponsors, Moorilla, WTA, and of course Mona. It looks like she's really enjoying playing here in Hobart. She won last year. This year she's in the final. Probably next year she will come back and win it again. I wish her good luck for the Australian Open. And also I would like to thank all the umpires, linesmen, ball kids, our supervisor, referee Mariana, for doing a good job. And of course my dad, who's been with me all the time. He's right there taking pictures. To my Russian fans who's right there, thank you guys for coming. Spasibo.
Elena, you seem to have no trouble getting into finals, but a little bit of trouble winning them. What was the difference today, do you think?
It was a very tough final. It was. I didn't expect that it's going to be 2 sets, and I know that Mona, she's a great player. She's a very talented player, and maybe today it was just my day. Finally, things turned around, and I finally won it.
And you are a bit of a crowd favourite here in Hobart. Can we expect you back next year?
Definitely, guys. I'll see you next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, another big round of applause for Elena Vesnina.
And that is one very happy winner, Chris Rowbottom, our master of ceremonies. And, well, she finally has broken through. And after all the struggle to get over the line, it's been a magnificent performance, and did it in emphatic fashion today.
Yeah, she did. She was very composed throughout that final, and very impressive under the circumstances, because we all know that in the back of her mind she must have had those 6 losses, and she put those to one side and she played in the moment, and at the big moments Elena Vesnina really played like a champion. And I just wonder if she prepared a runners-up speech, or if she prepared a winner's speech, or whether she thought it was bad luck to do so, but she certainly was equally composed in the speeches afterwards.
And certainly will be a popular winner too. Friend Moorilla Hobart has already tweeted in congratulating her for her first title, and also saying, I'm glad that if I lose, I've lost to a winner. Now go and get your photo next to mine. Moorilla Hobart, a former winner here as well from a couple of years ago. As we take a look at the match highlights, and we've been talking all the way through about the consistency of Elena Vesnina throughout this week, and was just able to ride out those periods where Mona Barthel lifted her game, was able to get a few free points along the way, served very well, particularly under pressure, and didn't look like someone who had lost 6 finals on the WTA. It looked like someone who's won 6 finals, just so composed out there.
And she used her experience very effectively, and that's the positive side of all those experiences. And she's a very accomplished player, and she showed that. She was equal to everything that this tournament threw at her all week, and certainly equal to everything that Mona Barthel could throw at her. And not a bad performance from the German. She's defended her title very, very well, and set herself up nicely for the Australian Open, as we've been saying, but Vesnina just that little bit too solid today, and that really was the deciding factor, I think, in the outcome of this title.
And that was the match point there, and certainly she won't be sitting at 68 too much longer. The new rankings come out on Monday. It has been as high as 22 and can probably reach those heights again, no doubt.
Well, this will give her lots of confidence going into not just the next few weeks, as important as they are, but also throughout the 2013 season.
Well, it's been a great week. We look ahead to the first Grand Slam coming up in Melbourne in just a couple of days' time. We've had a wonderful week here at the Moorilla Hobart International. The Domain Tennis Centre, Mark Hanley and the team have done an amazing job all week. The volunteers are around here too, and we've seen some great tennis all the way through. The draw has been so close, and that's what you want to see at a WTA event celebrating its 20th year.
This tournament just grows in stature and grows, I think, in the affection of tennis fans, not just here in Hobart, but around the world with every passing year. And we look forward, I think, to returning next year. I think we can guarantee Elena Vesnina is going to want to come back here. I think we might have struggled to get her to leave.
Exactly. She won't want to go too far, but she's going to have to, because the Australian Open is in just a couple of days' time. But your champion for 2013 here at the Moorilla Hobart International is Elena Vesnina, 6-3, 6-4 over Mana Barthel. The Australian Open not too far away. Some great tennis action to come, thanks to all the team behind the scenes here. And our winner, Elena Vesnina of Russia. Thanks for joining us, but for now, it's goodbye from Hobart.